Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Simon Birchall. I'm the Managing Director of Timeware UK Limited, and today was supposed to be the big event of the year for us, the launch of Timeware 2020 to our partners in the UK and West Africa. But we had a small problem. Coronavirus stopped everything in its tracks. So what we've done, we've cancelled the hotel, we've cancelled the photographer, we've cancelled the catering, and we're running the event from the fantastic surroundings of the training room at Fieldhouse Road. And what's going to happen over the next maybe hour or so, my technical colleagues are going to be running through the developments that have taken place over the past 12 months. A number of new features which have been introduced, the most important of which has been the speed, the increase in speed. I think we've got a demonstration video later on to sort of show how much of an improvement that is. But I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and hand over to the technical guys if that's possible. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, I'm Nathan Beveridge. I'm the support team leader for support team 1.
Hi everyone, I'm Matt Wilkinson. I'm the support team leader at team 2.
Hi, I'm William Plumpton. I'm in team number 1 and I'm a support technician.
Hi, I'm Oliver Bolton and I'm a support technician in team 2.
Hi, I'm Zach Dawson. I'm from support team 1 and I'm a support technician.
So these are the points that we've worked on in the 2020 version. We've made massive speed increases throughout the software. We've done the TLS changes that we've been requested to make by lots of our customers. We've improved our integration with Suprema Hardware throughout the software. We've actually made a fully Suprema access control system as well now. Again, we've integrated with even more Suprema hardware across the board. We've made a real solution with a Genetec system where we've supported different versions of the Genetec access control system. We've made some changes to the application manager, so it no longer uses the application manager, and we base it on SQL Management Studio. And then we've also improved the web application suite, which is the ESS and the TWC. First things we've changed on the speed is the optimisation throughout the whole application. So generally the application should feel a lot quicker with everything you're doing, so that's loading your forms, opening personnel records, booking holidays. So we've just optimised the code behind the scenes to make that a whole lot quicker. And then another bit that we have increased as well is if you've got a large system with say 20,000 employee records on there, which includes all your levers. So the actual pulling of that data we now do a lot quicker. So you can load it in about 2 seconds compared to what used to be 45 seconds. Another place you can see that is where you go into the planner as well. So when you open that planner up and it lists all the employees down, it loads up a lot quicker than it used to do. And the way we've changed it is, obviously years ago when we wrote the software, it was based on like the network speeds of that time. So obviously the network was a lot slower back in that time. So everything was happening, we was doing it over the network rather than from the actual client PC itself. But now obviously as networks get better and improve, we can put all the hard work on the actual client PC. So all the work gets done there and then it just transfers over the network a lot quicker.
Yes, so we've basically we've made a video just to emphasise the speed increase, which we'll show you now. So the first one, this video is just to show you the speed of the find form in 2019. So we basically click the find button, and this really is to just emphasise how slow it was on a large system, and this one has just short of 14,000 records.
And this as well, this is when it's come from a client PC going over to the server that you'll notice a big difference when it's set up in that way.
So just fast forward this one slightly. As you can see, almost 40 seconds. And imagine this as a user, you're trying to find a person in Timeware and it takes 46 seconds just to open that every time you want to find someone. It was just unusable. Okay, so this is the new one after the improvements which we've made.
So this is after upgrading to the 2020 version. can see we barely even had time to click onto the stopwatch to start it. That's how quick we've made it now. We're just going to another example, which was a planner. So like I said before, this is when all the employees are loading into the screen. It used to take a good, well, you'll see here now.
So obviously this screen is where you assign schedules to employees en masse to change them from like a 6 o'clock start to a 9 o'clock start, or, for instance. This just takes a hell of a lot of time on the old version, as you can see. It's 20 seconds to 40 seconds. It's just completely unusable. As you can see, it's still loading. And there we have it, 40 seconds.
So again, imagine doing that every day. You're logging into the software, making your changes like in the morning. It'll take you to the end of the day, basically.
And this one now is the speed increase on 2020. Again, just rapid, completely. Just makes the user's experience a hell of a lot easier.
And again, you'll see the biggest increase on this when they're all installed locally on the clients, rather than obviously straight onto the server. So the next point is the TLS changes we've made in the software, which TLS is the Transport Layer Security, if you didn't know. And there might be some confusion over this because I think it was 16 or 17, so timeware version 16 or 17. We actually said that we'd made some changes to TLS, but all that was when we're sending emails out throughout the software. So automated emails like absence requests, things like that, we changed that in 16 or 17 to support the higher versions of TLS, but the core application still had to use 1.0. So from this version now, you can actually turn 1.0 off, and then you can the software will still work basically with using 1.1 and 1.2 only. If you want to carry on with that.
Yeah. So the Transport Layer Security, we've now integrated it fully across the timeware system. For example, terminals, when clocking in at a terminal, the packets of data that get sent across back to the server's database are now encrypted. This prevents hackers from gaining confidential information. Again, with client PCs, when someone at a client PC edits or amends edits or adds a personnel record in the timeware system, that is now encrypted and is sent back to the server, and it avoids any hackers gaining any confidential information.
And just on this as well, to support this, we've had to make some quite big changes to the application manager. So you'll now see when you're running through the wizard, things like you don't have the drop down to choose which SQL server you're connecting to. And then we've actually removed bits of it like restoring backups and adding backups through the application manager, and we just made all these changes really so we can add the support for the TLS 1.2 version.
On new timeware 2020, there's been a lot of improvements to the biometrics for Suprema. These improvements include a lot more connection attempts for the Suprema devices. This helps with mobile connections. Also increases just the successful chance of connecting to them. For the Suprema devices that use fingerprints, we've changed the authentication level from high to very high, as this decreases the chance of a false acceptance. For the Suprema devices that support face, such as the face station, it's the opposite way around. They've changed it from very high to high, as this makes it easier for the face to be scanned and recognised.
With that, we had some sites that originally they was using face stations, and we upgraded them to the newer version where we'd set it to very high, and then we just had a lot of reports that they could no longer clock in with a setting on very high, so that's what's made us change it back to high, where we've done all our testing on high.
Also, when enrolling fingers at a Suprema device, before when you were just to enrol one, you needed to enrol 2 fingers. Now if you just enrol 1, it duplicates that enrol finger and uses it as the second. However, if you're enrolling 2 or more, it only uses the first 2 templates.
And then another thing we've changed as well, we've changed the way that we pull data up from the Supremas. So we used to go off the time and date, which obviously could cause some problems if client PCs and things like that had their own time on there. So we set a count in the background basically of what record we're up to. But the thing with that is obviously if you're replacing the hardware, the count's still going to stay at where it was on the original reader. So say if we pulled 1,000 records from that old clock and we put a brand new reader in, we're not going to bring data up for the first 1,000 records. So what we do now, we've added an option in terminal config, so when you do replace it, you just do your right click on the clock and do the clear log option, which sets all that counters back to 0.
Does it actually clear the logs out of the device?
Yeah, so what that does, it sets the flag in the database, so the software's all synced, and then we actually clear all the logs from the device as well and sets everything back to 0. So obviously after you've done that, we recommend doing a big update to the clock again just to make sure everything's been sent back down to it.
Different types of Suprema hardware in the terminal configuration of the software. To start off with, Suprema fingerprint enrollment. This turns a Suprema device into an enrollment device. This is so at a client PC when enrolling, you can use the Suprema enrollment, which is connected over the network and doesn't require a USB connection into the client PC. This is then the same with face enrollment with the face station.
And just on that as well, we've made some changes to the fingerprint registration application. So previous versions we could only use this for SecGen hardware, but now we've actually added in there that we can use that application with all the Suprema gear as well. We've actually made some changes as well, so it remembers which employee was last in the screen. So if you found somebody in the big personnel list, you come out and go back and it'll actually remember where you was up to. So if you're just working through the list, it'll always take you back to that last point.
Next is the Suprema attendance. This is for the Suprema N2, and this allows clockings to be made at the terminal and taken up to the database or the server.
And then for the access control, we use the Suprema W2, the P2 and the R2, and then they're all your biometric units. And then for the procs, we have the XPass 2, which is the smart procs reader, and then the XPass D2, which is the slave reader of the procs versions. But we'll cover that in more detail in the access control system section. So we've done the Suprema assembly point. So what that is, you'll have the power supply unit, and then you'll have any of the Suprema range hooked up to it. Obviously, if it was outside where you'd been gathering after the fire alarm, you'd use one of the more robust readers. If it was inside, you could use any of the range, and it can be procs or it can be bio as well. The fire alarm, we've got again that would be the power supply, and then hooked up to that you'd have one of the XPass 2 readers, and we use the smart reader so we can pull the inputs from the company's fire system. The slave is just really any reader that's hooked up to any other piece of hardware. So a lot of the examples we use is when it's going back to, say, a Genetec system. So obviously we're not actually pulling data from the readers themselves, we're just populating those with fingerprint templates and badge numbers. And then the Supreme Access Control slave, it's the same as just the slave reader, but if you want to see, say, your access patterns, so if somebody tried getting through a door outside of the time they should be, you'd get the feedback at the reader rather than just at the access control panel. So for the Suprema Firewall Core unit, we're using, this is one of the old ones, but the new version is going to have one of these Suprema XPass 2 readers mounted. Then what you'd have your connection coming in from your company's fire alarm, going into that reader, and then we can pick up the inputs from that. All the software changes have already been made in the 20 version, so obviously once we have this unit complete, all you need is one of those new fire panels. And just on that as well, we've made some software changes, so the way that we receive the input from the system, we should pick up a lot quicker now. So we've moved all the checking of the inputs from the data collection service, and we've put that into the firewall call service itself, so you should get the input within 5 seconds of the company's fire alarm actually going off.
On our Suprema devices, they support multiple badge formats at one time. This can be reflected within the personnel section in the timeware software. This allows you to select a preferred badge format depending on what site you have and what badge formats to use.
What that means is, so one employee, they could belong at one site where they say use HID cards, then they could be coming to a visit another site where at that site they just use standard timeware cards, but they could actually bring their card over to the main site and still clock in with that card.
What's the MSB and LSB?
Yeah, so obviously we read cards in 2 ways. You can either read it in MSB, which is the most significant byte, or you can read it in LSB, which is the least significant byte. And what that means is, instead of having 2 different versions of each badge format that we have, we just have a toggle. So it saves us having to add, say, 18, and we could just have the 9 that we've got, and then we can just toggle it on or off basically on which way we want to read the card.
So as you're probably aware, we're dropping all the legacy timeware hardware such as the V10 access. So we obviously needed to find another solution for access control, and that's where we're bringing in the Suprema access control system.
So with that, you get the standard anti-passback features that we've had in the old V10 access. So that means obviously you can enable it, hold the card up to it, and it won't let you use that card again on that side until you come back through the other way. What's good about that is you can actually use that with the attendance units as the repeat swipe duration feature. So what we can do, we can set a number of seconds for that card to not be able to be used. So you can hold it up to it and say it's set to 5 seconds. You wouldn't be able to then clock in again for 5 seconds. So with the Suprema gear, they all come with the RS485 compatibility. So what that means in short term is that we just have the one network cable coming down to the main reader, and then the other reader on the other side of the door, it's linked to the main reader, and then all those cables are going back up to the main unit. So that means if you ever got to replace it, there's no need to have 2 network cables, and it's just a lot easier. So you just have the one network cable going to the main reader.
So with the introduction of the Suprema access, we're making it trying to make it as easy as possible to convert across. So all the current timeware access patterns that we use, all the free zones, they're all going to be exactly the same. There's going to be no change realistically with this, so it's pretty much just a straight port.
So with the access control, we've developed now the power supply, the version 2 of the power supply. So with that, all the connections from the 2 readers, they'll all come back up into the roof where the power supply is located, and obviously you'd have this in a secure place. And now we include the secure I/O module from Suprema, and what this means is, originally if you didn't have one of those fitted, you could in theory hotwire the reader, so you could disconnect it at the reader end, and you could basically short 2 wires together and the door would open. So what this little module does is it enables all the intelligence up in the secure location, so even if you took the reader off, you wouldn't be able to get that door open.
So with our timeware 2020, we've tested the latest versions of Genetec, so we now can confirm that it works with Genetec 5.7, 5.8 and 5.9. We've also enabled it so that any bit format within the actual Genetec system is now compatible with timeware. And we've also added integration terminals, which is essentially where you've got, if you're importing data from another terminal from another system, previously you would be making a terminal and then suspending it straight afterwards, which is not ideal because you don't want to have them suspended all the time. So we've made a dedicated integration terminal, which is used for Genetec, but it's also used for a lot of other systems in timeware, in particular in scripting as well. So with the application manager, we've removed a few features such as the timeware 5 import and the auto time import.
Another thing we've removed is the SQL restore database option in the application manager. We now recommend using SQL Management Studio as it gives you a lot more control and it's a lot more universal.
A lot of you as dealers are already familiar with doing it through SQL anyway, and I know me as a personal support technician, I've never used the timeware app manager to do it as a SQL restore. It's always been SQL Management Studio.
Another thing we've done is, as there's been so many SQL rewrites, every time you upgrade now, if you're on a version below 19.1.6, you have to upgrade to 19.1.6 before moving on to version 20.
The reason for this is, as you can imagine, when Nathan wrote his code originally, there's a lot of upgrade files from each version going back to version 2012. We would have to rewrite every single bit of that code from scratch basically to write into this .NET code with a Toronto standard. So we took this as a step where we just thought, blank slate in 2020, we will just start from 2020. And this basically means that you will have this hassle for now, where you have to upgrade to 19.16 first. But imagine 5 years down the line when people are already on 2020 or above, it's less of an issue, it's just the norm then. You don't have to go to 19.16 if you're already on the later version after that. So we had a requirement from one of our customers where they go through about 50 forensic cost centres a day. And as you can imagine, in timeware at the moment, there's not a real easy way of implementing them. They take quite a long time. So we implemented a quick way of doing cost centres. But while we were at that, at the same time, we thought a lot of people use job costing, a lot of people use attendance through the ESS, so why don't we just do the same thing for all of them? So we've now added the ability to submit multiple bookings for the cost centering, job costing and attendance. So we're just going to go show you through that now. So this is the attendance, submit multiple bookings. So you come to this screen and the first thing you want to do is you click the new. So I want to put an attendance booking in for today at this time. So it gives you the option to do that. And then maybe I might want to do my booking for last night that I might have forgot to do. So again, you can click new. It gives you the option of changing the dates and times. So at this stage, I might need to go away for a coffee or something like that, just to have a break, and then I might want to resubmit a batch of bookings again afterwards. At this point, you can just click the Save Changes button, and at this stage, it's not actually filtered down into the timeware system yet. It's still there for you to just come back to it at a later stage. In this example, after you've had a coffee, for you to then carry on filling in your bookings. So we might want to add another one in for later on today in advance. So the only time when it actually filters down into the timeware system is when you click the submit bookings just at the bottom, and when you click that, it goes through the usual procedure of a manager approving the bookings on it.
So if you go out of that screen now,
yep,
and you go back into it the day after, will then bookings still be there?
It will be, because we clicked the save button.
Okay. And them bookings, are you able to edit them bookings?
You can, because they haven't been put into the system yet. So you can freely edit these bookings.
And delete?
And delete anything you need, yes.
As needed. Yeah.
As you can see, it's deleted one booking out there. Had a few more in. And then as soon as we click submit, that goes through to your line manager to approve or decline as they see fit. And it works exactly the same for the cost centering.
Well, that was interesting. Thanks very much, chaps. That was a fascinating insight into the development that's taken place on Timeware 2020. What I'd like to do is just spend a couple of minutes just outlining what we've got planned for 2021. Okay, probably the most important feature is ESS Go. I think everybody's aware of the mobile worker app, which has been around since 2015 or 16. And everybody's also aware of the ESS feature, the employee self-service module, and what the development team are doing is creating a brand new app that's available for Android, for Apple, and this app will enable employees to book in and book out, check flexi balances, make holiday requests, cancel holiday requests, everything every function that's available on the ESS will be built into the mobile worker app, and that's going to be a good selling feature for 2021. Next, we've got the dashboards. Now, the dashboards were originally going to be part of 20, but because of delays and work, whatever, we were unable to release them. The dashboards 2 are Toronto. This is a Toronto feature. This is what Toronto is going to look like. So if you get a chance to look at some of the screenshots, very exciting, very smart looking, very fresh looking part of the system. Dashboards are there to present key business information in a concise and clear manner, and what's really interesting on this one is they won't need the timeware app to actually be running on that PC. So this means that we can open up the number of users. We're not just limiting this feature to existing timeware users. There may be other users within the company that will benefit from dashboards, and I think that's an important point. And lastly, or thirdly, we've got the working time regulations. Now, timeware, ever since timeware 5 back in 1999, I think we've always had a working time indicator or some way of displaying the working time, the 48-hour rule, as it used to be called. And I think this is a good thing. It's a feature I was really keen to introduce because this applies to every company in the UK. It's a law, and I think it's another hook. It's another good opportunity to get in front of a customer and to get this feature switched on. And what's really interesting on this now, it is a live feature. It's running behind the scenes. There's a process running that's calculating this, and obviously to display that information, there's a number of formats. You can run a report, or you could use a dashboard, one of the new dashboard features that have been released. And really that's it. And I just want to finish by saying that the team are busy working as hard as they can on the Toronto project, and we're still planning to launch this for 2023, and it's a major change. There are nigh on 1 million lines of code in timeware, and there's an awful lot of work that's got to take place. There's a lot of work taking place. There's a lot more that has to take place before we've got the products ready for launch. But we're on target for 2023, and that's it really. So again, thanks everybody for the presentation today. It's been interesting. It's been good not having to stand at the front and do the talking for a change. And I'd just like to bring this to an end. And anybody watching this, I appreciate your feedback via LinkedIn, emails, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.